3 little known but extremely helpful benefits of this kitchen spice turmeric and its active ingredient curcumin for our dogs and our cats. Right, Cassian?
Are you looking to learn more about natural pet health and wellness? You've come to the right place. Click the link to subscribe to Veterinary Secrets.
I'm having an upcoming free webinar and you're invited. The Curcumin Cure, natural healing for your pet's chronic health conditions. 5 new ways to naturally stop your dog from itching. Holistic painkillers, here's what's working now. Inflammation, it's linked to chronic disease in our dogs and cats. Most importantly, what you can do to help. Cancer in our pets, these are the best remedies for both prevention and treatment. The webinar is happening Tuesday, February 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can click the link in the box below to sign up. This spice turmeric and its active ingredient curcumin, it has a long use, been used for thousands of years in traditional medicine. The big benefit, it comes from the root of the plant. That gives turmeric its like yellow orangey color. It's gained big worldwide attention. It's primarily known for its pain-killing, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties. And when most people are thinking about curcumin involving their dogs or cats, they're probably thinking about themselves. I've heard it's like some new alternative, potentially help me with my aching joint, aka arthritis. And no question, yes, it can be really beneficial for our dogs and cats in that situation. But there are many uses in veterinary medicine for the 95% curcumin. These are 3 ones which are seldom discussed, but may be really helpful for your pets. Number 1, the benefits of using 95% curcumin for diabetes. In veterinary medicine, we're seeing an increased number of animals with diabetes. Almost seems to be an epidemic amongst our cats. So many cats developing type 2 or diet-induced diabetes. And unfortunately, for so many dogs and cats, the only real option you're given is, well, you're gonna have to start giving your dog, your cat, you have to give them insulin. Nothing really alternative works. Maybe you've tried something alternative. Maybe you tried cinnamon. Maybe you've tried chromium. Didn't seem to really help. I mean, all you're stuck with giving your dog or cat this lifelong injection of insulin. But diabetes itself, it seems to be multifactorial. It's not just diet. I mean, there's type 1 diabetic where most of our dogs get, where really what they do, they just don't produce enough insulin coming from their pancreas. Then we have type 2 diabetes, more typically in our cats, where it's diet related. They might produce insulin, but the cells no longer respond to the insulin. But regardless of the underlying cause, whether it's type 1 or type 2, we know one of the key factors that can trigger a dog or cat to become diabetic is inflammation. Number 1, you can have these inflammatory cells attack the pancreas, right? You have scar tissue, you have the pancreas producing less insulin. In that situation, you've got a dog that has type 1 diabetes. Or we know for so many of our cats, for instance, that are developing this type 2 diabetes, one of the other big triggers, what's thought, is we have this chronic inflammation, perhaps linked to us feeding them this high carb cat kibble that attacks the cells, the surface of the cells. They're no longer able to fully recognize the insulin that's present. So then here you've got a cat, maybe even produces insulin, the cells no longer respond to it. They don't respond, he has elevated blood sugar. Clinical signs of our dog or cat that's diabetic, increased drinking, increased urination, increased urinary tract infections. The body is no longer able to use glucose as an energy source. These animals can then become ketotic, making them seriously clinically ill. But imagine if you could alternatively treat that. Curcumin is something you should consider. This 2021 review study talked about the effects of curcumin on diabetes mellitus. It showed that curcumin had a clear anti-diabetic effect. It decreased fasting blood sugar. It decreased insulin spikes. It showed that the curcumin, it significantly decreased fasting blood glucose. It decreased the blood sugar found on the red blood cells. It decreased body mass. These are all different changes that go on with an animal that's diabetic. So based on all those results, this is what the researchers concluded. That 95% curcumin should be considered in the therapeutic approach of patients with diabetes mellitus. We now have our own 95% curcumin supplement. This is Dr. Jones's high absorption 95% curcumin for dogs and cats. It's micro-encapsulated to increase absorption. It also has additional biopurine, that is a black pepper extract. One of the big things is curcumin is not getting enough absorbed. So we specifically got a formulation which has great absorption. And then when more gets absorbed, more can actually be beneficial and actually help your pet. Number 2, Cushing's disease. This is a disease that's typically seen in middle-aged to older small breed dogs. Clinical signs include increased drinking, increased urination. Typically, these guys have this sparse hair coat. Often too, you'll see this distended, swaying belly. Most of these dogs, they also have an increased appetite. The underlying cause, most of these dogs have a pituitary tumor. It stimulates a gland in front of the kidney called the adrenal gland. That gland produces way too much cortisol. When there's all this cortisol produced, you see those secondary clinical signs: increased drinking, increased urination, increased appetite, some of the skin changes, some of the immunosuppression that happens. There are specific veterinary treatments. There's a new one called trilostane, which is far less side effects than some of the older treatments. But still, you're left with lifelong treatment. And in the past, we haven't found many alternatives are actually effective. But one interesting study found that when you supplement with additional 95% curcumin, what it does, it could shrink or decrease the inflammation going on within the pituitary gland. So the majority of these dogs that have Cushing's disease is because they have a pituitary tumor. What they found is that curcumin, the 95% curcumin, was directly cytotoxic to some of these pituitary tumor cells. When that pituitary tumor shrinks, guess what? Then there's less of a hormone called ACTH produced. Less ACTH results in less cortisol being released from the adrenal gland. So if you have a dog that's been diagnosed with Cushing's disease, I really encourage you to at least try the 95% curcumin. It's kind of one of those things where there's pretty limited to no side effects, maybe a bit of GI upset, so you want to start at a low dose. If Tool had Cushing's disease, I would definitely try the 95% curcumin. Then number 3, for animals that have ongoing GI upset, ongoing vomiting, ongoing diarrhea, weight loss, abnormal stool. In many of these cases, these dogs and cats, they have IBD or inflammatory bowel disease. In some cases, underlying cause, there's an abnormal immune response. And maybe to whatever's in the food, maybe to some other potential bacteria that's triggering it. As far as conventional treatments, for most of these animals, we're starting with some form of dietary therapy, a really unique, simple diet, a simple, unique protein, or maybe one of the hydrolyzed protein diet. Secondarily, we want to manage that diarrhea. Some cases, just a typical over-the-counter, like Imodium or loperamide short-term. Then long-term, something that's going to decrease inflammation, a little safer to manage it, a herb like slippery elm. Most of the animals, you want to add in additional good bacteria. You want to be adding in a good quality probiotic supplement. Conventionally wise, and for many of the animals, veterinary medicine wise, all they can offer is some pretty potent anti-inflammatories / immunosuppressives. So that can mean the corticosteroids like prednisone. But prednisone comes with a host of its other side effects. Yeah, it suppresses the rest of your dog or cat's immune response. Your pet could become a diabetic as a result of the corticosteroids. So that's when you want to consider a natural anti-inflammatory. A study published in Scientific Reports coming out of Baylor, Texas, it showed that 95% curcumin, and specifically our formulation of the 95% curcumin, it's called BCM, 95% curcumin, it was beneficial for IBD or inflammatory bowel disease. They're looking at animals that had inflamed small and large intestines. They had inflammatory bowel disease, all these inflammatory cells within their gut. And they found this specific formulation of 95% curcumin did a great job of suppressing and decreasing all that inflammation. Less inflammation, less vomiting, less diarrhea, less clinical signs. You have a dog or cat that is able to function pretty normally without the corticosteroids. So if I had a dog or cat with IBD, I would definitely be trying that 95% curcumin. Cassian, he's such a suck. You're like, I'm just gonna lay my head on you because I'm sleepy. Yeah. This is Dr. Jones's high absorption 95% curcumin for dogs and cats. It's micro-encapsulated to increase absorption. It is one 250 milligram capsule per 30 to 50 pounds of body weight daily. And if I was trying to treat something like my cat, Cassian, who is about 10 pounds, I would do about a half a tablet a day. I'd start out with about a quarter of a tablet for the first week or so. Just make sure you could tolerate it okay. Work my way up to half a tablet a day. And if I'm trying to treat him for IBD, I'd give it to him for a full 30 days and assess whether it'd be beneficial or not. So yes, believe it or not, this spice that probably most people watching the video, they have in their kitchen cupboard, good old turmeric. It's got an array of different medicinal benefits. And those are just 3 lesser known ones. Yes, it can be used for diabetes. Yes, it can be used for a dog that has Cushing's disease. And yes, it can be used for a dog or cat that has IBD or inflammatory bowel disease. And a whole bunch of other chronic health conditions that are affecting our dogs and cats. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets, 3 lesser known uses of 95% curcumin for our pets. And I really encourage you to sign up for our brand new free webinar, The Curcumin Cure, Natural Healing for Your Pets' Chronic Health Conditions. Top alternative treatments for eye diseases of our dogs and cats. How to make the golden paste recipe and how it can help your dog. Cognitive dysfunction in our pets, what is it? And exactly what you should do about it. Plus my top new natural remedies for cancer, allergies, arthritis. The webinar is free. It's happening Tuesday, February 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific, and you're invited. Click the link in my bio to sign up. Click up there to subscribe, hit the bell to sign up for notifications. Then you click that link directly in the box below, I can send you a copy of my free book.